for later. And so it was recommended that we have a YouTube live meeting. And then as we realized that multiple teachers had to present, it was going to be impossible for us to do that safely using physical distancing, as well as allowing teachers to present from their homes or in their school, in their classrooms, or wherever. So we had to change the Meet to give us a Google Meet. And so that is the reason we changed the link. And I'm not sure how the links got confused at all. So I apologize for that. I called myself sending out the new link and teachers sending out the new link, but maybe too much technology is, maybe somebody shared with it the links when you can do that in Word or whatever, the links still connect. So again, I apologize for that. Well, but welcome nevertheless. We appreciate you being here and taking time out of your Tuesday evening to meet with us. If we were under normal circumstances, we would have a meeting in the great room with our parents and students so that we could all hug and say, hey, welcome back. Good to see you. Or hello, my name is. And as soon as we're able to do that, we will get back to doing that as soon as we all can come together. But right now we will, and this is a great way for us to have a compromise, because a lot of times when we have afternoon events, there are parents who want to be there, but they can't because they may work or just whatever, life happens, they're not able to be there. And there are some who are able to come. So in this way, we're learning to we'll be able to utilize the best of both worlds. So we'll try to continue to incorporate some of this technology that we've been using to connect, even when we're able to come together as we always did pre-COVID. So again, thank you for being so accommodating. As I was saying earlier, what I wanted to share with the parents who were already here, that we have two different types of learning taking place. We have in-person and we have virtual learning taking place. Unlike the time when we had crisis learning during COVID in March, this is actual remote learning where teachers are doing actual instruction. People are expected to have the technology if they have selected virtual learning. And so teachers are full blown in teaching new lessons and guidance. And so it looks and feels a lot different. It's a lot more structure there. What we've opted to do with the state is to have this virtual learning environment, this remote learning environment, is we selected an asynchronous type of virtual learning environment for those who are virtual. And asynchronous means that a student is able to access the learning any time of day, all day long, and they have until 11:59 p.m. to get assignments in or whatever that daily attendance material is in per class. That's different from lower school where it's all grades or all classes in one. In high school, every class stands on its own merit. So it's important for students to participate in every single class every single day. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with it, I'm going to share my screen briefly to share with you what that looks like for students, for you and for students. So when you go to the Village Tech website, when you click on school, you'll select High School Experience, the Odyssey, and then you can click, and it'll give you a brief summary of what the high school experience is like for Village Tech. You'll see there are 5 stages to our program, and that is we first allow our students to become in as ninth graders to initiate. That means they're finding their interest. They're exploring a wide array of interests there. They discover, they research careers, personality, and life goals, explore. The students prepare for college and internships. That's 11th grade. Approach. The students plan a capstone challenge, which is really their senior summit, and their senior defense, where they defend their right to say they've earned a Village Tech diploma. When you click on the grade level for ninth grade initiate, it will take you to a page where you're able to see everything that's related to ninth grade students at Village Tech schools. I'm sorry, I have a doorbell ringing. Let me sorry. Okay. You're able to see everything related to that student. If you click on Enter the Ninth Grade Hallway, you will be able to see all the teachers and their doors as if the students were in the building. And so we tried to create this virtual learning environment for all of our students so that they could, if they weren't able to come to us face to face, that they would be able to have some kind of resemble a feeling of what it's like to be here. And so you see the teachers, everything in this classroom should be interactive for them. Miss Jones, where do I go for your, I'm not going to show everything. I just want the parents to see this. But if you go to I'm trying to get out of here.
That one is Mrs. Bounds.
Miss Bounds. Okay, she's busy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry. Let me go to Miss Jones. Miss Jones, tell us how to get to your Google Classroom from here.
So keep clicking. Click to the next link.
Okay.
And then right there where it says today's assignment, there's the Google Classroom link right there.
And then each one has something, each of these posters has something related to Miss Jones or her classroom. And so here's where students were able to get to their Google Classroom. I'm not a student, so I won't get to see much. So it's pretty secure. So you have to be a Village Tech student and enrolled into that classroom in order to access that classroom. Teachers, is there anything else that you all want to share about that for where they're able to see where the virtual learning takes place?
On that website as well, they're able to see both. If anybody's here that has kids in person, they're able to see their schedule, but it also has the virtual schedule with links to the meets that are staying the same. So they could just have that up on their screen and then go down the list and say, you know, okay, it's 8:15, time to jump in here. And they would be able to do that.
Thank you. Okay. Grade level home pages. You want to say explain what you're saying, Mr. Stewart, there?
Yeah, I can do that. So for I know for 10th grade, we have a 10th grade Google site, and I can present that. Really,
let me turn it on for you. Hold on a second.
No problem. I gotta load it up myself. Basically, this is just a homepage that, you know, it's if the Bitmoji Classroom isn't your jam or anything, we have links for all of our stuff. We have our phone numbers, like our Google Voice numbers. We have our emails. We have like our rotation schedule. We have the Google Meet links. All of that in one place. That
I can share it.
Okay. That I know, you know, not everybody may be privy to. Not all parents may know about it, but you know, that is usually our first place that we direct kids to, at least for 10th grade. You know, oh, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Here you go. Here's this page. Like, this is ours for 10th grade. So it has all of us, all of our headshots, links, all that fun stuff, as well as kind of what our rotation schedule looks like, information about attendance, times, and where everybody's supposed to be, all in one sweet location. That's also where our newsletters get posted. And, you know, you can see what we're doing for the next week for us. And this is 10th grade, so mileage may vary. So like for us next week, here's all of our stuff we're going to be doing next week, just a quick at a glance. So I know that could be how your child's grade level doing it. Like I said, mileage may vary.
I'm going to go ahead and click on 11th grade too, so that you can get a view for those parents. Those parents who have 11th grade students can also get a view of the Explore and Approach area. You see here it's much of the same thing. Everybody has basically the same content, just different look and feel. Here, the 11th grade update. So this one is the week of 11/30. You'll see where your students can see what they'll be working on. Much of the same newsletter. And so we try to be consistent with giving that information out every week about just a heads up about what's going to be covered in that grade level per subject. 12th grade. Oh Lord, let's see.
Excuse me, could someone go post in the YouTube thing, the link I think I posted too many times and doesn't appear to be showing up.
Okay.
If someone could post the link in the YouTube, that'll bring more people over.
So you see here, the 12th grade is same thing, Studio 12. Did I click the right thing, Mr.? Okay. Here, they have a daily attendance activity, teacher lockers there that will take you to the classrooms that they have, books, links, everything is connected in some way. So we're trying to make this as seamless as possible for students and for parents who need the support. We realize that we are operating under a different time. And so a lot of the things that we have done in the past, we've had to tweak that approach so that, Mr. Eden, could you, Mr. Kane sent something to you. We've had to tweak that in order to find a way to find a win-win for both our students and our teachers and families. And so we want to make sure that we are there and available for our students. And also we want to figure out the best way to approach the students. Typically, I was sharing with Mr. Seibert and Mr. Henson, we were here earlier, we were talking, and it's different when a student is here, we're able to say, because what we're seeing is that some students just are not, especially those who are virtual, are having a difficult time remaining engaged. And that's why I talked to parents who are on the YouTube link earlier about making sure that our students are engaged in the classes. We offer in-person and virtual learning. Remote learning is what we call it. And so when we do this virtual learning, from the remote learning support, we want to make sure that students are actively engaged and not just sitting behind a picture on a screen. It's very important for them to participate in these by turning their screens on. Sometimes we discovered that a student has the screen, and this was the parent who told us this, right? Came in, logged into the class, had their picture up, and the kid goes back to bed. And so, meanwhile, there's not much instruction and engagement going on. So during crisis learning, everybody had to make do with what we had. And so the technology was limited. But as we progressed through technology, it's caught up. And so now we were concerned that we didn't tell students it's mandatory to turn your cameras on because there was an equity debate going on, right? Some students were living in situations that they didn't want their cameras on. If you're like me, my house isn't clean all the time. So sometimes I just didn't want you to see the pile of laundry that was on the sofa, right? So I didn't necessarily want my camera on, or because I'm at work, I would take that pile of clothes and put it into the other chair so that nobody could see it in my meetings. Well, what Google has done and many of the other providers have done is they've provided opportunities to change the background. So we don't have to see what's going on in households. You can change your background, and if teachers can, like, oh, there's Miss Carter, she's on a beach. I'm about to have a party with confetti behind me. As soon as it opens up, there we are. I'm at a party, right? Or I can be in I guess this is a trendy cafe in Cedar Hill, Duncanville, a trendy cafe, right? So there are a number of ways for us to hide our backgrounds if we don't want people in our homes. And so please understand that when we're telling the students who are logging onto these virtual classrooms to have those cameras on. And so the thing is that Village Tech, the state of Texas told every school in Texas that we had to make a choice whether we were going to do asynchronous learning or synchronous learning. We've put out information describing what both are. Asynchronous learning means students have all day until 11:59 to complete those activities in every class. Synchronous learning means that those classes are happening live and students have to log in during that time. Now, what we've done is we have operated by using both, because we know that some students cannot come to school, but they also don't do well with just asynchronous learning. They need to be able to, Ms. Bowen is having technical issues. They need to be able to see and hear and interact with the teacher via live time. And so what we've done is, that's why the teachers were showing you the pages, is because during those times we have those meet scheduled, teachers are on there teaching. The same way they teach students who are here face-to-face, they're doing that live during scheduled times. Those sessions are recorded just in case students can't get on during that live time. We do record those. But the beauty of those live times is that as students have questions, they're able to ask those questions. They're able to do the assignments with the teachers as need be. Because then if not, then the student is going to have to do all those things at the end of the day or whenever they log on alone. And so we try to make sure that that's there, even though the state has said you have to choose asynchronous or synchronous. We're saying we can do both, right? And so we are. And so we want to encourage you. You see that your student, your child, your son or daughter might be struggling a little bit, to make sure that they're logging on during those live meets. The other thing is that each week, the teachers are sending out progress reports. These progress reports are simply a courtesy because we understand that sometimes parents don't have time to log into Skyward. And then sometimes, if you're like me, that's an intentional cough, I would forget my Skyward login. So when that happens, we want to make sure that parents are still receiving that communication on a weekly basis to say, hey, this is where your son or daughter is. Now, I'm also told, and I realize that parents are looking at Google Classroom to see about progress. They're also looking at Skyward. Well, I'm told that this month, I'm not sure which week, Mr. Todd might know a little bit more about the exact date, but Google and Skyward have decided to enter into an agreement. And so what's going to happen is those grades from Google Classroom would now be automatically be able to be uploaded. So now teachers will no longer have to take the grades and manually transfer them over into Skyward, which is to the delight of teachers everywhere who are using Skyward and Google Classroom, right? You see them dancing, right, celebrating that. So that is something that that is new that's coming out. The other thing, teachers, I'm missing anything? That was my part for the welcome. I'm sorry, I have the longest welcome ever. Okay. All right. So what teacher is up next? Who's talking about student-led conferences?
I'll go first. I'm jumping in. Arista. Okay, so I actually prepared something, so I don't ramble on. Good evening, everyone, and hello, particularly senior parents. So seniors should be able to show you how to access Studio 12, which Miss Mays so greatly did for us just a second ago. In there, of course, you'll see how to access in particular classes, as well as the academic calendar and a bunch of resources. So anything that I'm asking them to look at, they have access to under the resources page. Seniors are involved in 4 courses this semester: Mr. Seibert's anatomy, Mr. Ingram's economics, as well as his personal finance class, and then my senior summit practicum. Seniors do have the opportunity to join live classes with Mr. Seibert from 10 a.m. to 11:30 and Mr. Ingram from 11:30 to 1:05. And I highly encourage joining in at the beginning of classes, especially in order to better understand the day's lessons, ask questions, and of course, join in the discussions that they like to have at the beginning of each class period. They have 90 minutes with your students, so they have the time to interact with students on a personal level. So if those students are joining in live, then they're going to get a much more fulfilling interaction than if they join asynchronous or worse, not at all. So please encourage them to take the time to join in for the opening of those classes, especially. As for my class, the Senior Summit, your students should be living their project at this point. They are on a project team now and are accountable not so much to me as to their teammates, to each other for their time, effort, and product. We meet as a class every Monday morning from 8:15 till for about 45 minutes, and then they break off into their individual teams. On Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, they go directly to their team meetings in the morning. So every day they should be having live interaction with their group, at least once a day, possibly 2 to 3 times a day, depending on what they're trying to accomplish. Their meetings are on their Google calendars. We have advisory every day scheduled from 1:05 to 1:30, unless otherwise noted. And anytime after 1:30, I'm available to their teams for project work or for team meetings. And usually I expect for them to use that time to be in the build shop or to be out in the community actually making contacts with their coaches and community experts. As far as news and notes, parents, just yesterday, you should have hopefully received a communication about your SLCs for your seniors. We're doing it where their senior project teams are making live presentations to their parent community, and a couple of administration will be in there as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Those are happening every night next week. So please check your email for those invites. If your students are sitting around doing nothing, remind them that their projects are year long. They have something that they need to be doing in order to push their projects forward. The only other news that parents probably need to know about is if your senior missed the picture day before the holiday, our makeup day for seniors only is Friday, December 11th, and I'll provide your student with a time slot. Thank you, Ms. Mays.
Thank you. We can go 11th grade now.
All right, for 11th grade, for student-led conferences, we will be putting together, we're working on a rubric, and we'll be putting that together this week and presenting that for students to have. We asked them this week what they would like, what would help them, or what we as teachers can provide for them to have a successful student-led conference. And a lot of it was just instructions on what to present. And so we will provide a couple of different options on how they can possibly do their student-led conference. And so that will come out next Monday, the December the 7th. I believe our window runs until January the 11th. And so there's a little bit of time for those to be completed. We will reiterate this with the students that we are expecting 100% of our students to participate in this. And so that will be coming. I can also, if parents wish, I can provide that rubric for parents as well, so you would understand what is coming as well. I can include that perhaps on our weekly update, my weekly update that I send on Sundays, or I might have to send that on a separate one in case it's not quite ready on Sunday. But I will provide that for the 11th grade parents as well. Like the other classes, the main thing that we want to talk about in terms of attendance and engagement and things like that is that, as Ms. May said, every class is required. Attendance is required for every class, and so whether the student is here in person with us, or we have very faithful attenders who are coming come every day to our online classes, and so we see them, they're in attendance. But even for the asynchronous, it's still, we need them looking at things every day. And sometimes we have a daily assignment. Sometimes those assignments are a little bit more involved and they are part of our daily grades. Other times they are kind of an attendance taker. But either way, students need to be in that classroom, Google Classroom, watching our recorded classes, and making sure that they are connecting with us, and that actually goes for my senior class as well. And so if I think I have covered the things I needed to. If not, please let me know, and I'll cover those too.
Thank you. 10th grade.
We could almost say ditto to everything Andy just said. It's really similar. We just need, more than anything, we need students to have a little encouragement when you get that email that says your student did not turn in the assignment that was due yesterday. Encourage them to go ahead and get that in. But just like Andy said, we have a lot of students that are doing a really great job every single day. They are showing up and they are engaged and they are learning, and they make it a thrilling place to be every single day. And we have fun at school. I try to make sure that when we have our virtual class that we're there 4 or 5 minutes early just so we can play around for a while. And they seem to do that. I know I do. And we enjoy being together. And so that's the thing, that if you have a student that's not joined in the virtual classes, encourage them to give it a try. I think if they do, they'll find out it may not be as boring and dry as they think it is. We really seek to be engaging and to have a good time, and I think our kids do. I know that usually when I get an email saying I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing, it's from a student that hasn't been there, and that's the reason why they don't understand. And so if you have a student that you hear more than once say, I really don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing, encourage them even more strongly to attend those virtual classes. Like Mr. Ingram said, SLCs are coming up, and we're putting together expectations for our kids, and they will be very aware of what it is that's being expected of them. I really think that they should be looking forward to telling you what it is that they have learned. I know that I am. And we look forward to finding a way for them to share that most expectantly. That before I quit, I just want to tell you one more thing. I really, really enjoy being with your kids. And I want you to know that even though you are parenting at a time when no one else has done this before, you are not alone. I don't have any kids that are home anymore. All mine have kids now themselves. But I will tell you this. I can walk beside you. I can't parent for you, but I can sure encourage you. And I can tell you that this too shall pass. And I can tell you, I really, really want to be your friend, just like I am theirs. And anything else you need from me, you got it. You just got to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Henson. Mike?
Okay, awesome. So we are going to be starting SLCs next week. We're going to be sending out a Sign Up Genius. We are wanting to be able to do a lot of our online meetings. We're going to be sending out meets to parents along where they can kind of sign up for times. And that'll be sent out next week, hopefully Monday. So we are going to be trying to do that during the advisory time, which is 4:15 to 4:45. And we're going to see how that goes the first week. And if we need to expand that time, that'll happen then. And we'll give more time when we need it. We'll be doing that for the 2 weeks until winter break. And then we will be open to doing any makeups that we need to do when we get back, because, I know that things happen and holiday seasons are crazy. So, and then we kind of put together a list as the 9th grade of just kind of some expectations, some reminders, things to kind of keep in mind and think about whenever we're coming to online class. And so we do encourage you to turn your cameras on, because we don't know if you're engaged. And so if we could, if the more students we could have with cameras on, the better, because then we can kind of check engagement, things like that. But we also understand, so we're very, flexible about that. And so as long as you're close to your microphone, things like that. And that was our next one, is to be close to your computer, make sure your microphone is working, things like that. Be engaged with supplies ready. And then we actually do morning announcements every day at 8:15, from 8:15 to 8:25 for only about 10 minutes, to kind of announce who's going to be live today, to kind of check in, see how we're doing. Students can voice concerns. We kind of get to talk a little bit before the day starts. And then we send them on into their first classes. And so if they could get up and be awake and ready at 8:15, that would be really, really awesome. When you create a workspace as well, it would be best if this was a workspace that was apart from your bed or your couch, because it does help. It really does, because you don't want to be, trying to take a nap and relax, in your workspace. So better to separate those things and create for yourself a place where you can be successful. If you're going to miss class, even if it's asynchronous, it's helpful if you're going to just give us a heads up and you say, hey, I'm not going to be there that day. I've got something going on. Totally fine. We're very flexible with that. And then if you're going to miss a deadline, I have students who will email me and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to get it done this weekend. Something came up. Can I turn it in Tuesday? And I'm like, yes, go ahead. But when we know that communication and when we're able to keep that line open, it helps the teachers and helps the students. And then our last one is work should be turned in a timely manner, preferably not later than 1 week after its deadline. And that's helpful for your teachers as well as your students, because when your students are turning in work later, I guess, than a week past, then sometimes it gets muddy and you're not able to keep that continuity of the learning process. And so the better you can stay caught up and you can keep your students caught up, the best success we're going to have in the class. And so, and we do accept late work at Village Tech. We're very accommodating about that, but it helps us a lot, and it just kind of allows us to keep up and keep in the present too, and not having to go back. So thank you so much. I hope I answered all your questions. Let me know if you have any more.
Thank you. I want to clarify that we take late work statement. We do have, because we take into consideration that there are things that are happening that may cause a delay in returning to work. But in addition to being late, the idea that work is no longer applicable to the learning concepts that teachers are building on causes a problem. And when it gets too late, it cannot be accepted, because what we don't do is say this was due October 1 and you turned in January 1. It's a moot point at that time. And then it's not a good practice. But all of you notice that most of our classes contain a pairing with engineering. And one of those TEKs in engineering is about being professional, turning things on time, meeting deadlines. And so we hold our students accountable that way. I know some parents are looking like late. I know Reliant tells me I can be late, but they don't give me too long to be late before they turn it off. So we have to make sure that our students understand. And I don't like people say, oh, real world, what is the real world? But how about live time? Understanding that everything has a live time that has a cutoff, right? So that's something I wanted to add. And with that in mind, I want us to understand too, we are being really, I have a lot of peers, and I was talking to a lot of educator peers. Of course, I don't know how, I guess it's a whole educator club, right? And so we talk about what's going on in different campuses. And I have to tell you that I'm really excited about what our teachers designed these schedules. Our teachers opted to have in face-to-face and teaching their virtual classrooms, because they really wanted to make sure they got to know and start forming relationships with all their students. And I know for a fact that I was talking to a friend, and I'm going to go ahead and say the name of the district. I won't say the name of the district because this is being recorded. And so she was telling me about her experience with virtual learning with her kids, and they were in a pretty affluent area. And so I'm asking questions while I'm listening, and then I started asking questions because I got really nosy. They only give those students 30 minutes per subject in virtual learning. So for English and social studies, 1 hour. Science and math, 1 hour. And I said, oh. And she said, well, how much time do you guys give your students? And I said, well, I guess it depends on the grade level. For high school, it's 90 minutes per subject. And I smiled because I knew they couldn't do that, right? And then I said, well, but I guess they're middle school, we do 70, 75. And then I just walked off with my lemonade. But I, because I think, we're doing something fantastic. We're not turning it off. We're not saying, we're there and we're available. And so with that in mind, I also want, sometimes I can be a little petty, but they need to know how great we are. And we don't have to live north to be great. But anyway, I digress. So we know that there are things that are happening for all of us. And so with that in mind, for parents, we know that it's difficult. Some parents, and this is true, have said, hey, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And like Mr. Henson, I can't tell you that I know what to do either, because my daughter's in college. I don't know what to do when she's in college now. So I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that life, right? So our kids who have typically been very studious students are struggling with this new environment. Some of them want to be here, but right, exactly, Ms. Carter. Some of them want to be here, but for whatever reason, they can't be here, and they want to be engaged, but for whatever reason, they can't move. They feel like they're frozen, and the student they've always been, they can't be right now for whatever reason. And so that's why I wanted Ms. Taylor to talk to you all today about some things to help with that kind of situation.
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Thomas. I am the social emotional counselor and the academic counselor. I know we are short for time, so I will condense. But we are now 10 months into COVID. And that is just a stressful thing to say and think about, but we would all love to just ignore the issue or just kind of wish it away, but it is here. And you can hear from the teachers, we understand that it's taking a toll on our students and it's taking a toll on all of us. So I wanted to offer a few refresher tips on how we can work with our virtual students. Getting organized. For a lot of our students, that means getting a calendar out or updating their calendar, their Google calendars with class times and assignments. For others, it might just be refreshing or cleaning up their calendars to keep up. Creating a workspace. Ms. Horner talked about making sure that our students are not working in bed. Bed is a place that we go to rest. And studies have shown that people who work in bed have a hard time going to sleep or getting good rest. And we need our students to have that good rest to pick back up in the morning. So creating a workspace for them, a place that they can kind of set their computer down and work, and at the end of the day, take away and just relax somewhere else, go in front of the computer or in front of their TV to watch some TV, spend some time in the living room or at the dinner table with all of you. And that kind of goes into my next tip is having communication. The thing I've heard all of our teachers talk about is engagement and communicating. And that's something important for our parents too. This is a tough time and you'd be surprised to hear the difficult things that our students are going through. They're missing out on communication with their friends and building that relationship with their teachers. And those are all things that we all just kind of need some time to vent about and to share. And I think that's a lot of stuff that we could offer some advice to our students. Coming up after Christmas break, we are working on getting a lunch bunch together, a program together for our virtual students. So they'll have the opportunity to meet with me during their lunch break and just kind of go over social emotional learning tips and just have a place for them to hang out. As Mr. Henson said, it's nice to be able to just goof off and be a student again. And so hopefully that's the idea we have for the lunch bunch. Also, we'll be sending out regular SEL, social emotional emails, and that'll contain just address common stressors and study tips and goal setting techniques and just more to come. But if you have any questions for me or if there are concerns that you have for your students that you would like to address, please feel free to email me. My name is Tina Thomas, so my email address is tthomas@villagetechschools.com. So that's all for me, and I did it with 1 minute to spare. So Ms. Mays, do you have anything else to say?
You did such a great job. So this is our new counselor. She's not so new now. We've kind of put her in the race and made her go run, right? So she's doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Ms. Thomas. I do want to say that about the communication. I just want to comment on that. please talk to your students and don't allow them to just like go into the bedroom and close the door or just kind of be alone all the time. Because they're hurting. As adults, we're hurting. Like we all say, oh, I want to go outside and play. That's why Miss Carter has a beach in the background, right? She wants to go outside and play, right? And so sometimes, and students are trying to process this, and we as adults, we're going because we gotta do what we have to do, right? But and I have to share this. And my daughter, I think she's creepy. I think she hopped on earlier, right, with her dad. But my daughter's in college now. She's a sophomore. And we were talking, and so normally she was talking, and she's strong like her mom, but she just like she's had it with online classes. She's had it, and so she went back to school. She attends Alabama State University in historical Montgomery, Alabama, and she came home and she had a really good semester. But she just like we were talking, and she just burst out in tears, and she says, "Mom, I'm just tired of this. I am just over this." And I said, baby, I know, I understand. And I just let her talk. I didn't have the answers. She didn't want me to have any answers, but she wanted to express how she was feeling at the time. And so allow our students that to be vulnerable with you, to talk about that. Just, sometimes instead of saying, get in that room and clean that room up, what are you doing? Yeah, they need to clean the room up. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But allow them that time to say, what's going on? Why am I having to tell you to do these same things over and over again? Just allow them to talk, and you'd be amazed at how they're acting out so that they can learn to cope. I'm not saying allow them excuses. I'm just saying allow them to communicate, and then you can show them how to use that pent up frustration and energy to go clean up your room, right? So just allow them that time. So I'm sorry, I just had to take a personal note with that, because to me, that's very important. Is Mr. Kane still on? I know we don't have much time left, but I wanted Mr. Kane to talk about attendance real quick. I'm going to talk about attendance. Mr. Kane?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. Were you going to talk about Picture Day for virtual students?
That will be this upcoming Saturday, and it's broken off into their last names, and it starts at 8 o'clock. There should have been an email that Ms. Nicholas sent out on yesterday, I believe.
Thank you. Technology issues that your students may have, Mr. Kane is the person to contact about those issues as well, if they have a village tech device, or if they just have a question about technology usage, that sort of thing. The other thing I want to talk about is attendance. I mentioned it a couple of times, but it bears repeating. Students must participate in every class all day. There's no, oh, I don't have to check in. Yes, there's activities to prove that you were there, and those must be done. Students have to attend class 90% of the time. That means if they have over 9 absences for a semester, then we have attendance school that they must attend. And information will be coming about that soon. Did I miss anything you want to cover? I'm sorry. I think I'm talking too much. Okay. We have time for just a few quick questions, parents. If you want to drop those in the chat or chime in, great. The next report card comes out in January. Ms. Horner, don't laugh at me choking over here to death. Comes out in January, and that's 5 more weeks from now. You're welcome. And if your son or daughter, and so we have some people who don't understand, again, crisis learning was different. It was either you participated in crisis learning or you didn't. In remote learning, it's not the same. So there are grades being issued. If you're in high school, GPAs are counting, credits are earned, and that is how your student is able to graduate from high school. So if your student is not doing any work and not logging in, that student is not going to be successful. And that is not the goal. The goal is to make sure our students are successful. We've had parents and we've contacted parents, but as much as we want to make everything accommodating, have 90-minute classes, allow for asynchronous turn-in, talking and communicating, turning in things late, the one thing we cannot do is we cannot go to your house and turn that computer on and make that son or daughter sit in front of that computer. That is where we need your help. We understand, and we're going to do everything we can to make it as simple as possible for you and allow us to all engage and communicate because we are a village. But we need parents to ensure that their son or daughter, that they're doing their part. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to be like this forever. It's not going to last forever. We know there's going to come to the end to this. And the accountability is going to need to be there. I'm not talking about just EOC testing or state testing. I'm talking about the need for this child to have the knowledge that they were supposed to acquire during this year at this grade level. Those things, as you know, they add up. And so we want to make sure that we don't leave gaps unnecessarily. That if students are not, if people say, well, my kid is not learning virtually, but I'm too afraid for them to come to school. That's fine. They don't have to come to school. But what they can do is log into their computers, because we gave these devices out, and even in some cases we had some hotspots we gave. We need those students to log into those live sessions. There are a couple of questions. I'm going to wrap up with those questions, and then if there are any other questions, email the teacher, or you can even email me. Will there be X classes next semester? That is the plan, Ms. Glover, to have X classes. I don't know what they will be. Mr. Todd is over the X classes. I don't know if anybody's talked to him. I guess you're still over X. I don't know if anybody's talked to him about any X class ideas, but we plan to be able to go back into our X classes next semester. Please be aware that your child can pass for the semester. Oh, if your child was unsuccessful in a quarter, they can still pass for the semester. But that means they have to work. And that's good, right? Work is good for you. So to communicate with the teacher to find out what your son or daughter needs to do to be successful. What is the policy if you have a doctor's appointment and you are virtual? Do you need a note or not? No, you don't have to have a note, because remember, it's really, if they're virtual, it's still asynchronous. They have until 11:59 to get that work in. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for your time. We went slightly over. We went 7 minutes over time. And because we went 7 minutes over time, I'm not going to use that as an excuse not to head over to LA Fitness. I will go ahead and work out. So thank you all so much. Again, it's been a pleasure working with your son, daughters, and meeting. I look forward to meeting a lot of you in person I've never met. And I'm looking forward to you all getting to know one another. And thank you for having your son or daughter be a part of Village Tech High School, the best high school in the state of Texas and on the planet. Take care. Bye-bye.
Miss May, stop your recording.
Nobody tell her. Nobody.